Bhaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So everyone kindly repeat. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Gana. Shakti Deha Kore Yena Chaitanya Varnana. Jaya Jaya Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Gana. Shakti Deha Kore Yena Chaitanya Varnana. So Hare Krishna and a very warm welcome to today's discussion on the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So I also forgot to welcome, we have two also very special attendees today. So we have Dhairyavan Yudhishthir Prabhu from Rohini. He's there, he was playing the Mridanga, and he's doing some wonderful service, Kirtan here, and a youth preacher. So we warmly welcome him, and we also warmly welcome Rati Prishta Mataji from Dwarka. Many of you already know her. So we had a very detailed and technical discussion last time, and we discussed a very long purport of Srila Prabhupada, 19 pages. We discussed last time with many different arguments that were presented by Shankaracharya and how Prabhupada refuted those arguments in his purport. So Madhavi Mataji did prepare the notes, but I need to fine-tune them a little bit so that you get the complete picture in that. So I'll send you those notes this week. I couldn't do it. This week was very, very hectic. So I will send you early next week. Okay? So today we are going to start with verse number 49. And before that we'll chant verse number 48 of the 5th chapter entitled The Glories of Lord Nityananda Balaram. Okay. So he concluded that section about the glories of Sankarshan. And how did he conclude? Let's recite verse number 48. Turiya Vishuddha Sattva Sankarshana Nama. Turiya Vishuddha Sattva Sankarshana Nama. Tinho Janra Amsa She Nityananda Rama. Tinho Janra Amsa She Nityananda Rama. That Sankarshan, whose transcendental pure goodness, Turiya, transcendental, Vishuddha Sattva, is completely pure. He is who? Who is he? He is the partial expansion of whom? Sri Nityananda Ram. And now, today we will discuss which is the 9th verse of the Mangala Charan in the 1st chapter. that is also a glorification of Lord Nityananda's expansion, Mahavishnu. Okay. So he says that I have briefly explained the 8th verse. Now please listen with attention as I explain the 9th verse. So he's referring to the 9th verse of the 1st chapter. And in the 9th verse, he offers his full obeisances unto the lotus feet of Sri Nityananda Ram, whose partial representation called Karanadakshay Vishnu, lying on the Karana ocean, he is the original Purusha, the master of the illusory energy and the shelter of all the universes. So now in the next almost 40 verses, what he's going to do is he's going to explain the Karana ocean, the original Purusha, who is Mahavishnu, and his qualities and his glories. He's the master of the illusory energy. So he's the master of Maya. And he is the shelter of all the universes. And he's going to explain this in very, very beautiful verses that we will try to discuss today. So by your blessings and by the blessings of Guru Parampara, I will attempt to explain these very sweet but sometimes difficult verses if we are not in a regular practice of reading these verses. So he starts off with saying that outside the Vaikuntha planets is what? The impersonal Brahman, which we discussed in this chapter. It has another name called Siddhalok. And beyond that effulgence, there is the Karana ocean, and Karan means causal, that which causes something, right? Karana. So it is also called the causal ocean. And what are its attributes? So he explains in the next 5-6 verses what are the attributes of this Karana ocean. So he says that surrounding Vaikuntha is a mass of water. And how's that ocean? It is Ananta, Apar and Nahika Avadhi in verse number 52. So he says it is Ananta, it is endless. It is unfathomable. We can't understand it with our material senses. And it is unlimited. It's limitless. So we get some sense when we look at the ocean. When we look at an ocean from the shore, right, it seems like ever expansive. Right? We don't know where its end. We have some sense. But this ocean is completely endless and unlimited. And we can't fathom it. And it's said that everything in Vaikuntha, right, whether it's the earth, whether it's the fire, the air, the ether, they're all spiritual. There are no material elements found in the spiritual world. And so the water of the Karana ocean, so we'll recite verse number 54. Okay. It's a very nice verse. Chinmaya jala she parama karana Jara ek kana ganga patita pavana. The water of the Karana ocean, which is the original cause, is therefore spiritual. The sacred Ganges, which is but a drop of it, purifies the fallen souls. And what is it that makes this Karana ocean, why is it said to be the original cause? Is the ocean the original cause?
Because Sankarshan.
Yeah, Mahavishnu is lying on this ocean. So in the next few, that's what is explained. In that ocean lies a plenary portion of Lord Sankarshan. So plenary portion means what? What does plenary portion mean?
Expansion of expansion.
Yeah, so it's an expansion, but it is still considered complete, whole. Hmm? So we'll read this verse, 56. Mahat Shashta Purusha Tinho Jagat Karana Adya Avatar Kore Maya Ikshana. So the first expansion of Mahasankarshan, he's called the first Purusha, the creator of the total material energy. He's the cause of the universes, the first incarnation who casts his glance over Maya. This is description of whom? Mahavishnu. And now in the next few verses, he's going to explain the nature of Maya. What is this Maya that Mahavishnu glances over? So he says that Maya Shakti resides outside the Karana ocean. Maya cannot touch its waters. So Maya is, where does it exist? It exists outside of the Karana ocean, causal ocean. And it cannot touch the waters of the Karana ocean. They're completely spiritual. And it has two varieties of existence. Now this is some more technical information, but this is very interesting to understand. When we understand, then we realize that what is the power of God? How He creates and how His energies are working. And how the energy is bewildering us to believe that we are this body and we are this enjoyer. So he says the two varieties of existence of Maya, one is called Pradhan. So Pradhan supplies the ingredients of the material world. So Pradhan you can think of as the sum total of all the ingredients for this creation and for its operations, all the ingredients are in this Pradhan. But Pradhan is the unmanifested state. That means those material elements are not active yet. They're lying in a dormant state. So what makes them active? So which is the second existence of Maya, which is the Maya Shakti. So Prakriti, okay. Now Pradhan, when it becomes manifest, then it is called Prakriti. So unmanifested material elements, that's called Pradhan. Then when they become manifested, they're called Prakriti. Now, the second level of existence of Maya is its subtle force, right? That we call Maya Shakti. So, Srila Prabhupada and Kaviraj Goswami also, they describe that, they give an example of a potter. So, when the potter is making a pot, right? So what does he? He uses a wheel, and then there is clay, and there is water, right? There's some other substances. So, but these are the main things. There's the potter, then there's the clay, then there is water and the wheel. So now I've sent a little picture. If you see that on the group, you'd be able to better make sense of, where did my phone go? Huh?
When you have sent?
There's no picture? One second. Let me send it now. So I think you can see it now. Is it there on the group?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So in the case of the potter, right? So the potter is the primary cause or the immediate cause. And the secondary cause is the instrument. The way that our scriptures describe that there is an immediate cause and then there is a ingredient cause. Okay? One is called the nimitta karan and one is called the upadan karan. So when we see the immediate cause, there's a primary immediate cause and there's a secondary immediate cause. What's the primary immediate cause? The potter. Right? He's the one who's actually making all this happen. Right? If there was no potter, the wheel won't turn. Who'll get the clay? Who'll get the water? Who'll make all this arrangement and make this happen? It's not possible. So when we observe how a pot is being made, right? So the one who is the immediate cause is the potter. And the secondary cause, he's the primary immediate cause. And the secondary immediate cause is the instrument. Because he's using that to make it happen. And when we look at the upadan karan, so the immediate upadan karan is the clay. And the secondary, the primary cause or the primary ingredient cause is the clay. Because if there's no clay, what will you do with just water? So clay is the primary ingredient in the pot. And the water is the secondary ingredient cause. So both the immediate cause and the ingredient cause have primary and secondary causes under them. Okay? So if you look at the picture, then it'll make more sense. Otherwise, if you do it in your head, it's difficult. So who's confused? So both, there is a immediate cause and then there is a ingredient cause. And both have primary and secondary causes under them. Now, if you look at that picture, in that,
It's a no.
uh,
The picture sent by Prabhuji.
are you looking at that? So in the creation of this world or this, this material universe, what happens? That the immediate cause is the Maya Shakti, right? But it is the secondary immediate cause. The secondary immediate cause is the Maya Shakti. And which is the primary immediate cause? Yes, the Lord. Okay. And which is the primary ingredient cause?
Clay.
The Lord. And the secondary ingredient cause? Pradhan.
Acha, Lord and Pradhan.
Okay? Now you're seeing the relationship between that analogy, that example?
What is Pradhan? Sorry, I might have missed because I just...
Yeah, you missed. So Pradhan is the sum total of all the material elements, including the gunas. Right? So, earth, water, fire, ether, the senses, the mind, the false ego, the three modes, they all, when they lie in a dormant state, they're not activated. They're lying in a dormant state. That is called Pradhan. And when they are activated, that's called Prakriti. So they're fully functional. Like now we're living in this world. We're not living in Pradhan. We're living, we're living in Prakriti. It's fully manifested. All the material elements, they're fully, the modes, everything is working.
Prana is the clay. Pradhana is the clay.
Yes, so Pradhan in this is the...
Water.
No. There is... Pradhan has two. There's primary and secondary. So primary is what? Lord is... Pradhan is not clay. Clay is in the example of the potter. But in the example of the creation, Pradhan is the secondary ingredient cause. Even the ingredients are created by whom? By the Lord. So he is also the primary ingredient cause. And he is also the primary Shakti cause. Right? Okay. God is he is the origin of the Pradhan. He is not Pradhan, he is the origin of the Pradhan. That means he is the source of the Pradhan. Okay. Yes, in the dormant state, the material elements are called Pradhan. So basically what we have to understand from this example, that the Lord is both the immediate cause and also the ingredient cause. He is the primary immediate cause and he is the primary ingredient cause. And what we see in front of us happening, so what do we see? Do we see God? No. But we attribute the Maya, material nature to be all in all. Those who don't believe in God. So you'll have to think about it a little bit. Then it'll all fall in place. Yes. So the example of the potter and the pot and the process of creating that pot.
Pot is the final creation.
Yes, pot is the final creation.
So clay is Pradhan, analogically.
Yes.
And potter is Krishna.
No, pot, yes.
And the instrument is Maya, which he is using.
No, now you're... Yes, so instrument is Maya. Instrument is Maya.
Secondary is Maya. And that final product is
This world.
this world. That's the pot.
Yeah, yes, that is a pot. Yes.
Yeah. So in that ingredient cause, the first thing is clay, that is Pradhan.
Yes.
And the secondary is?
No, that is
Yeah,
secondary.
secondary is Pradhan. Okay, primary is Lord.
Primary is the Lord Himself. Because where does Pradhan come from? From the Lord. So the Lord is primary in both. Okay. But what appears to our eyes is that it is because it's happening without the Lord being personally involved. And we will read, those purports where the Lord simply by His glance activates all this and that's it. His job is done. He doesn't he has to actively manage all these material elements and make things happen in this material world. He's got this creation on autopilot. He's got his his engineers and his management staff, and he's got everything going. We don't see, there's a day that the sun will not set in a regular way, or like one day the sun decides, okay, I'm not going to, rise and shine. It doesn't happen. It happens, everything is just happening so perfectly that people are so amazed by this creation that they think this is all in all. Wow. Material energy is everything. Material creation is everything. And because it is so, I was just thinking that why scientists get wrapped up in this. Because it's, like we were discussing, there's so much about this world that we don't know. So they think, wow, this is exciting. Another venture, another exploration, another discovery. And it's like on and on and on and on. And if if scientists are not God conscious, they can easily get lost in this unlimited creation of the Lord. And we are saying that last time we were reading that how even 95% of this universe, people know nothing about it. It's dark energy, dark matter. It's a complete mystery. So just like, children, they love solving like mystery puzzles. And just imagine if it's like an endless mystery puzzle, like how you can get wrapped up in that. If you're not guided properly, you don't have, you can just, that's why these scientists they get so obsessed. They think, wow, and they figure out things, they figure out ways to manipulate this energy, and they get more excited. They say, yes, we can do this, we can do that. And they put all their hopes in that process and put God totally on the side. So,
What is the difference between pradhan and prakriti you are explaining?
So pradhan is dormant. Just think, how to think, just like, say a young girl, right, who's 5 years old. Can she bear a child? She can't. Right? Dormant state. Her ability is dormant. But at a certain age, that ability comes. And then, what happens? Ultimately, when she conceives a child, then that ability becomes fully manifested. So that is, you could say, the child appearing and all that, that is Prakriti. No?
58 maybe is your following verses maybe Prakriti is same as Pradhan.
That's what the
Pradhan or Prakriti.
So, one second, where does it say?
58. Translation 58.
Yeah, so Pradhan and Prakriti, right? Pradhan becomes Prakriti. So it is the ingredient cause. So here what is saying, Maya has two varieties of existence. What's the first variety? It's called Pradhan or Prakriti, which will become Prakriti later on. Okay? So this is the ingredient cause. And in the next verse we'll go to, right? So let's recite this verse number 59. Jagat karan nahe prakriti jara rupa. Shakti sancharya tare Krishna kare kripa. So because Prakriti is dull and inert, it cannot actually be the cause of the material world. But Lord Krishna shows His mercy by infusing His energy into the dull, inert, material nature.
So Prakriti is Pradhan.
Yeah, it's Pradhan in the unmanifested state. And in the manifested state, it is Prakriti.
But it's saying it's Prakriti because Prakriti is dull and inert.
Yeah, so how does Pradhan become manifest into Prakriti? How does that happen? Yeah. So by the glance, the rays of the Lord mix with Maya and Maya Shakti. So there is Maya Shakti and there is the ingredient cause, right, which is Pradhan, which becomes Prakriti. So when Maya is infused with that energy by the glance of Lord Vishnu, then everything becomes activated and they become manifest. Okay. So one thing is that sometimes these words are used interchangeably. Like Maya is sometimes called Prakriti. But is Maya only Prakriti? No. Maya is also the subtle force. Okay. So Maya, if you see this verse, verse number 58, what does it say? Shaite mayar dui vidha avistiti. Two levels of existence. One level is the ingredient cause which is called pradhan and then prakriti. Okay? So both are ingredient causes. One is manifested and one is unmanifested. So don't. So here, basically, they are talking about upadan. Upadan is ingredient cause in 58. Okay, and both are ingredient causes. Pradhan, and then when it matures, prakriti.
Take example of water and ice also.
Yeah, so.
Two varieties of existence. Maya has two varieties of existence. One is called Pradhan or Prakriti. The second one
Second one is called Maya Shakti. Shakti, that is a subtle force.
subtle.
Okay,
But I think it is not mentioned here.
it's mentioned in the following verses. Okay. So we'll read this purport. Hold on. Okay. I wanted to finish these verses before I start reading, but I'll read the purport, then you can understand. The external energy composed of pradhan, this is the purport 261. So here says, the verse says, therefore Lord Krishna is the original cause of the cosmic manifestation. Prakriti is like the nipples on the neck of a goat, for they cannot give any milk. So they appear as if because they appear like nipples, it seems that they are the ones that are cause of the milk, but actually they're not. Right? They cannot give any milk. So Prabhupada says, the external energy composed of pradhan or prakriti as the ingredient supplying portion and maya as the causal portion is known as Maya Shakti. Okay? So two levels of existence of Maya. One is pradhan or prakriti as the ingredient supplying portion and Maya as the causal portion. So the force that actually, through which Krishna's glance activates the material elements. Okay, Maya Shakti. That's a subtle force. Inert material nature is not the actual cause of the material manifestation. For Karana Vashai Mahavishnu, the plenary expansion of Krishna, activates all the ingredients. It is in this way that material nature has the power to supply the ingredients. And then Prabhupada gives an example of like a rod, right? When we put it into fire, what happens? It becomes very fiery. Right? Then it starts possessing the qualities of fire. But is it really fire? Where did it get its fiery ability from? From the fire. So similarly, the creative ability is coming from whom? It's from the Lord Himself. It's not that the material elements or Maya they are independently creating this gigantic creation. They're not. So anyway, you have to read it a few times, then it will gradually sink in. Because it's not something that you hear once and it makes perfect sense to everyone.
It's like only somebody having the power of telekinesis. Like moving things just like that.
Yes. And then Prabhupada says, it's very beautiful, like we'll go to purport number 51. 51. Yes, purport 2, verse number 51. This is a long purport and it touches on many of the things we've discussed. So, Prabhupada says that the material nature is a byproduct of this causal ocean. That's why it's called causal ocean. Okay, because the Lord is residing in that ocean and from the Lord comes all these gigantic, millions and billions of universes. So Karana Dakshay Vishnu, who lies on the causal ocean, creates the universes merely by glancing upon material nature. Therefore, Krishna personally has nothing to do with material creation. Okay. Material nature is connected with the personality of Godhead by his glance over her and nothing more. It is said that she is impregnated by the energy of his glance. The material energy Maya never even touches the causal ocean, for the Lord's glance focuses upon her from a great distance away. Now the main point. Prabhupada says that because the glancing power agitates the entire cosmic energy, and then only its actions begin. Right? So he says this indicates that matter, however powerful she may be, has no power by herself. Okay. So no matter how amazing matter appears, how opulent it appears, how mesmerizing it appears, we have all these giant planets rotating about on an axis and all these galaxies and so much, such complexity, right? So amazing. But it has no power by itself. So it may appear very powerful. And this material creation does, when you look at, even in this world, when you look at like mountains or oceans, they appear like so gigantic and so powerful and so overwhelming that we think that this is it, this is all in all. Her activity begins by the grace of the Lord, and then the entire cosmic creation is manifested in a systematic way. Then Prabhupada says very nicely, so he says, the personality of Godhead is the direct, now this is also, you can get a little confused, but he's the direct cause or remote because he's in the background, but he's the direct cause. Or Prabhupada says remote because you don't see God. We can only feel his energy. We can, when we read scripture, then we can feel and appreciate the energy. And material nature is the indirect or immediate cause. Now, it appears immediate, right? But it is the indirect cause. Okay? So you can get a little confused, but now Prabhupada says, having missed the goal of life, materialists run after self-sufficiency, not knowing that material nature is already self-sufficient by the grace of God, thus creating a colossal hoax in the name of civilization. They create an imbalance in the natural self-sufficiency of material nature. So how many of us are experiencing an imbalance of material nature? Only one? Huh? So all of you are very comfortable with what's going on? Huh? Huh? How's the air that you're breathing? Huh? Fantastic, so pure, right? That it's adding many ages to your lifetime. No? Isn't it? Huh? And look at the wonderful, vegetables and fruits we are having. Right? They're so nutritious. Right? Adding so many, years to our life, and we are so healthy, and we are avoiding going to the doctor, saving our doctor's fees, hospital fees. Isn't it? What a beautiful life. Very balanced, so pure, so progressive. Isn't it? You didn't raise your hand, so you're feeling like that? Huh? It's troublesome at every step. Padam, padam, no, na tesha means there is no more vipadam, but it is trouble at every step. It becomes na tesham when what happens? Right? When we take the shelter of the Lord, right? His lotus feet. Samashrita ye pada plavam. So when we take the ashrita of the Lord, then the material world, which is full of trouble at every step, it becomes so tiny, like the little puddle created by the hoof of a calf, right? Calf's footprint. So even a child can jump over it. So this Bhav Sagar, when we take, to the extent that we take shelter of the Lord, then this great ocean of illusion and lot of pain and sorrow, it starts to shrink. So in the end, the Srila Prabhupada gives this example of the potter, which we've already discussed in the last paragraph. Right? And Prabhupada also gives an example. He says, the power is generated at a powerhouse. So he gives this example. He says, the power of electricity is transmitted through the medium of copper, but this does not mean that the copper is electricity. The power is generated at a powerhouse under the control of an expert living being. Similarly, behind all the jugglery of the natural laws is a great living being who is a person like the mechanical engineer in the powerhouse. It is by his intelligence that the entire cosmic creation moves in a systematic way. And who is this personality? Yes, Karana Dakshai Vishnu. So let's recite verse number 64. Krishna kartamaya tanra korena sahaya. Krishna kartamaya tanra korena sahaya. Ghatira karana chakra danda adi upaya. So Lord Krishna is the creator, and Maya only helps him as an instrument, just like the potter's wheel and other instruments, which are the instrumental causes of a pot. So what does Maya do? Korena Sahaya. She's an assistant in the whole scheme of things. And let's recite 65. This is Dura hoite purusha kore mayate avadhana. Jiva rupe virya tato kore na adhana. The first Purusha casts his glance at Maya from a distance. Dure hoite. It's very far away. Dure hoite. But yet, just by glancing, right? Mayate avadhan, just by glancing over, then what happens? He impregnates her with the seed of life in the form of living entities, and then the reflected rays of his body mix with Maya, and thus Maya gives birth to myriad universes, groups and multiple groups of universes. So Prabhupada writes in the first few lines, he says, purport number 66, he says, the Vedic conclusion is that the cosmic manifestation visible to the eyes of the conditioned soul is caused by the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, through the exertion of his specific energies, although in the conclusion of atheistic deliberations and manifested cosmic exhibition is attributed to material nature. So what do atheists attribute all this amazing creation to? Material nature. Yes. That it all came out of, some big explosion and things started to manifest, and gradually over a long period of time you have this magical creation. Yeah. So now the next few verses, we'll discuss for another 10-15 minutes and then we'll stop.
Prabhuji, these atheists say that it comes from a big bang, but that is also unmanifested. We are saying it is a unmanifested but pradhan. So both things are common, but they are saying that there is no cause, no one who has created, it is created by itself. We are saying it's created.
Yes.
Like that.
It's created how? By whose power all this creations is happening?
This is meaningful. This is meaningful.
Yes.
They say all this meaningful happens without any person who is putting meaning into it.
Yes. So there's no cause. There's causes, but there are material causes, right? Which they keep trying to refine. Right? Yes. So, but where do those natural laws come? How is this creation working under those natural laws?
Without a lawmaker.
So now we've discussed another 20 verses in which Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he glorifies Mahavishnu further. So he says, this Purusha, what does he do? This is 67. He enters each and every one of the countless universes. He manifests himself in many separate forms as they are universes. So he's expanding further. And who's he expanding into? Yes. And just by when he exhales, what happens? Multiple universes are generated. Countless universes are generated. And when he inhales, what happens? The universes again enter his body. And this example is given, Kaviraj Goswami gives a very beautiful example. Like when you see a window and you see sometimes the sun coming through, you see many small atomic particles, right? Coming through the window, like because of that sunlight. So he says, just as atomic particles of dust pass through the openings of a window, so the networks of universes pass through the pores of the skin of the Purusha. So Mahavishnu is just lying, he's breathing. When he's breathing out, right, from his pores, what's coming? Universes are coming out. And then when he is breathing in, universes are coming back again. Right? And in the next two verses, Kaviraj Kaviraj Goswami again, what does he do? Every time he makes any statements, what does he do? He supports it with Shastric evidence. So here in these two, the next two verses, basically Brahmaji is expressing his realization. One in the Brahma Samhita and then the other in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So here he is glorifying. He's saying the Brahmas and all the lords of the mundane worlds appear from the pores of Lord Vishnu and remain alive for the duration of one exhalation. So even all the great lords like Lord Brahma and the other lords of the mundane world, they're coming from where?
From the pores.
Yes. And he says that I adore this primeval Lord Govinda, of whom Mahavishnu is, who's it? Yes. He's just a plenary, he's a portion of the plenary portion. So, who's the plenary portion?
Sankarshan.
Mahasankarshan is the plenary portion of, and then Mahavishnu is his plenary portion. And in the next verse, this is, you could say this is like one of the key things we should learn from all this. So we've been discussing a lot of technical knowledge, right? About how creation, how, the power of God. So here, Lord Brahma, he's revealing his position. He's saying, where am I, a small creature of 7 spans, the measure of my own hand? I'm enclosed in the universe composed of material nature, the total material energy, false ego, ether, air, water, and earth. And what is your glory? He's addressing it to Krishna in the Leela where he tried to steal all the calves and the cowherd boys. He says, unlimited universes pass through the pores of your body, just like particles of dust passing through an opening of a window. So he's realizing his tiny position in this whole creation. And Brahmaji is not an ordinary person like us. It is from him that all of us come. Right? He's the source. And how is he feeling? So Prabhupada writes, he says, a conditioned soul, even one so great as Brahma, who manages the affairs of the entire universe, cannot compare to the personality of Godhead, for he can produce numberless universes simply by the spiritual rays emanating from the pores of his body. Material scientists should take lessons from the utterances of Sri Brahma regarding our insignificance in comparison to God. In these prayers of Brahma, there is so much to learn for those who are falsely puffed up by the accumulation of power. Like whom? Like many others, including us. We always tend to think, all the puffed up people are outside. Isn't it? Oh, the scientists are puffed up and the materialists are puffed up. Maybe the one who's giving the class is puffed up. Maybe one who's doing the deity worship is puffed up. So that is something for us to reflect upon like Lord Brahma does. And that's what Prabhupada is reminding us, that there's so much to learn from these prayers, these beautiful realizations of, these are very, very empowered, powerful personalities of whom we have no, we don't have any people in this world who can compare to Lord Brahma. And now he explains this part that look, who this personality is, right? So he gives the identity. He says a part of a whole is called kala, right? So amsera amsa je kala taranam. Amsera amsa je. So a part of the whole is called kala. And Sri Balaram is who? He is the counter form of Krishna. His second body. So Balaram's own expansion is called Mahasankarshan, and his fragment, the Purusha, is counted as a kala. Or a part of his plenary portion. So one is Amsa, and the Amsa of the Amsa is called Kala. Who is Mahavishnu. I say that this Kala is Mahavishnu. He is the Mahapurusha, who is the source of all the Purushas and who is all pervading. So the other Purushas are who? Garbhodakshay Vishnu and Shirodakshay Vishnu. And we will discuss them in the next section. Right? Our last technical section of this chapter. Yes, Prabhu.
One question. So Balram is not considered as the part of Krishna. Because you said part of the part is Kala. Part of the whole is Kala.
Yeah, so Balram is whole.
Balram is whole.
Balram is whole. Because he is Krishna and just in a different body. Okay. But sometimes we see and hear that Balaram is also considered like a plenary portion of Krishna. Right? Sometimes we read in the purports. Right? But we understand that Krishna and Balaram are one. So they only differ in color and in the mood. Okay?
What is the difference between Mahatattva and Pradhan? Mahatattva and Pradhan.
So Pradhan, when it comes to a level where it can conceive. So let's say when the girl, hits puberty. So she comes to a level where she can have a child. So that is Mahatattva. And then when it fully manifests, when the child comes out, then it's Prakriti.
So it's Pradhan, Mahatattva, then Prakriti.
Yeah. So there was no mention of Mahatattva here, so I didn't want to get into it because it's already so. But since you asked that question. So Mahatattva gets activated, but it's ready for, it's at that point where it can,
Become Prakriti.
yes, become Prakriti. Okay.
Devi is about to come out.
So, no. Okay. So can you just wait? Let us finish this, and please. Otherwise, we'll. So in these next two verses, again, the expansion of Mahavishnu, the other two Purusha avatars are explained. So if you see this, text number 77, Vishnu has three forms called Purushas. The first, Mahavishnu, is the creator of the total material energy, Mahat. The second, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, he is situated within each universe. And third, Shirodakshay Vishnu, he is the super soul who lives in the heart of every living being. He who knows these three becomes liberated from the clutches of Maya. Okay. And now he explains that although Karanadakshay Vishnu is called a Kala of Lord Krishna, he is the source of Matsya, Kurma and other incarnations. So all these other incarnations, they're coming from the Purusha avatars.
So that is why people say that these are Vishnu avatars.
Yes.
That's how it looks.
Now you're seeing the connection? Because everyone thinks that, okay, Vishnu is the source of everything, including Lord? Yes. Because from the Purusha avatars, who's coming? Many of this. So, Ite chamsa kala pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So he's reminding us, Kaviraj Goswami, right, that although many incarnations come from these Purusha avatars, but who is the Supreme Lord? Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. But Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. In every age, He protects the world through His different features when the world is disturbed by the enemies of Indra. And then He summarizes, now He's summarizing the position of Karanadakshay Vishnu. He says He is the performer of creation, maintenance and destruction. He maintains Himself in many incarnations, for He is the maintainer of the world. And this fragment of the Lord, as the Mahapurusha, appears for the purpose of creation, maintenance and annihilation, and is called an incarnation. Now let us recite verse number 82. This is very important. Adhyavatar Mahapurusha Bhagavana Sarva Avatar Bija Sarvashraya Dhama. Says that Mahapurusha is identical with the personality of Godhead. He is the original incarnation, the seed of all others, and the shelter of everything. So this is the beautiful integration that our philosophy has, that they are one. They shouldn't be considered separate, but yet they're individual, manifestations of the same supreme potency. So it's not that we write off, he's just Mahavishnu, he's just a Purusha avatar. Who's that Mahavishnu? Who's Mahavishnu?
He's the seed of God.
He's identical with the personality of Godhead. So one thing when I was reading these verses, I grew up in a Christian boarding school, right? So I didn't have awareness of all the gods and the demigods and in our Vedic scriptures. So, but when I started, practicing Krishna consciousness, then only I began to appreciate all the other forms of Lord. Sometimes we see people, they say, I believe in this Lord, but this Krishna is, But the beauty is that when we understand Krishna, we also appreciate Rama. We appreciate Lord Nrsimhadev. We appreciate, Lord Shiva. So it's so beautiful, which I never really had any appreciation or any knowledge. But by studying Krishna consciousness, by practicing Krishna consciousness, just by reading Bhagavatam, by reading the Gita, and the Chaitanya Charitamrita, then we develop a appreciation for also the other forms of Lord, which I think is so amazing, this process. It's such a beautifully integrated process that when we are advancing in Krishna consciousness, it's not that, this is, he's not important, and although we are exclusively surrendering to Krishna, but by doing that, we are also gaining appreciation for all the other forms of the Lord, which I think is so amazing. So this verse helps us appreciate the other forms of the Lord. So in the last few verses, it's explained that, just like Prabhupada explains, that when there's a prison house has what? What does what does a prison house have? Prisoners, right? But can the director of the prison house be considered a prisoner? No. Right? So similarly, even though the Lord, He creates all these multiple, gigantic, endless, unfathomable universes, He doesn't have anything to do with the material energy. Right? It's explained in verse number 86 that although He is thus connected with the material energy in two ways, He doesn't have the slightest contact with it. Okay. And this is the opulence of the Lord, verse number 87, that He is never affected by the modes of material nature. Similarly, those who have surrendered to Him and have fixed their intelligence upon Him are not influenced by the modes of nature. This is from Bhagavatam 1.11.38. And this is what the Gita and all the scriptures remind us. What do they remind us? Of the Achinta Shakti of the Lord, this inconceivable potency. How He creates, yet He has nothing to do with it. Right? He's completely independent of the creation. This material energy has no impact on Him. In fact, it is ashamed to even come in front of the Lord. So another name of the material energy is called Chaya Devi, like shadow, right? Remains. So all this amazing work that this, imagine, and this is the Lord's Bahiranga Shakti, right? External energy, and how powerful that is. But what's even more powerful? What's more powerful than the external energy? Yes, the internal energy. And this is the whole purpose of scripture, is to take shelter of that internal energy. All this knowledge, all the mantras, all the tapasya, for what? To take more and more shelter of the Lord's internal potency. It says this potency is apar, means it's way beyond this external energy. It's the most powerful. So sometimes you might think, Maya is so strong. We have such bad habits. We're so conditioned. The whole, setup today, the whole environment is not favorable. There's too much struggle. So Krishna consciousness is not possible. But when we read scripture, this is the encouragement and the faith we get. That no matter how difficult it may appear, there is someone, like in the Gita, Prabhupada writes that behind Maya there is a supreme magician. So all this magic that we are seeing and we are getting so overwhelmed by it, the material modes, but behind that there is a magician. And the more we take shelter of that magician, then by the force of that superior authority or that supreme authority, everything is possible. It's not possible by our own endeavor. It's not possible by memorizing shlokas. It's not possible by doing all kinds of tapasyas and vrats. But the more we take shelter in a helpless way, in a sincere way, in an honest way, then that potency will make everything happen. That's why Krishnadas Kaviraj, he prays, Jaya Jaya Shriva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Gan. He's praying. Shakti Deha. He says, on my own I cannot glorify Lord Chaitanya. But Shakti Deha Kore Yena Chaitanya Varnan. I can explain the glories of Lord Chaitanya when you empower me with that Shakti. And now we'll conclude with the last two verses. We'll recite the last two verses, 90 and 91. Okay. Achintya Aishwarya e janahi amara, Eita Gitara Artha Koilo Parachara. O Arjun, you should know that this as my inconceivable energy, my yoga Aishwaryam. That although I create all this, yet I'm completely aloof from this material creation. And now verse number 91. Shaite Purusha Janra Amsa Dhare Nama, Chaitanya Sange Se Nityananda Rama. Shaita Purusha Janra Amsa Dhare Nama, Chaitanya Sange Se Nityananda Rama. Chaitanya Purusha Janra Amsa Dhare Nama, Chaitanya Sange Se Nityananda Rama. So that Mahapurusha, Karanadakshai Vishnu, is known as a plenary part of him who is Lord Nityananda Balaram, the favorite associate of Lord Chaitanya. Hare Krishna. So all that knowledge ending up in a very, very sweet verse, concluding verse about Karanadakshai Vishnu. What's his real identity? Okay. So thank you all very much for patiently listening. So Vishnu Charan Prabhu, Bal Krishna Prabhu, Radha Mataji, Navanita Mataji, Hare Krishna.